That should be absolutely, yeah, that should be fine. That should be yeah, check. Do a check.
Yeah, I was up. We all right?
Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Bildo is fucking, he's cracked the job here. Um
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, lads and lasses, it's you're tuned into another episode of Troof Seeking. The aim last week we left you saying we were going to talk about games, but it turns out we had no choice but to do this episode instead. Or did we? You tell us, mate. What's the
I'd
topic this
completely.
week?
Well, it's free will in it, but I'd completely forgotten about the games thing in it. So fucking that had completely gone out of my head.
Well,
But I
perhaps.
thought, we'd do this. Fucking, I thought you was purposely like being late in it because you didn't want to do it, so you was sort of taking the piss. I thought it was a bit. I thought you was going to start it off with that, but
Do you know what I was
there we
actually
go.
doing? I've all day. What have I done today? I sat in bed in the dark until about 2:30 today.
Oh,
It's been one of those days. It's been a let's dwell and sit in a pit of self-loathing days. So I did that for a long time. I tell you what, is it? I achieved the aim. Like, some wouldn't call that a pleasurable experience, but I was there to serve a purpose, which was to sit in that pit of darkness, and I achieved that. So that felt great.
yeah. Well, it's
Um,
something to tick off in it. There, you can't feel
we,
bad about that.
yeah, I got my daily dose of self-loathing, and then I decided to try and counteract that with vegetables. So I thought, well, obviously a soup can
Nice.
counter darkness. Yeah, well, I didn't just surround myself with vegetables. I made something out of vegetables.
Just, just loads
Um,
of people in like fucking comas. Just, just walking
so
round the hospital to make yourself feel better.
you're just like, yeah,
I feel like shit, so I'm gonna
at
go to the
least
coma
I'm not
ward.
here. At least I have the choice, or do I? But I did that, and then I've all day I've been like, do you know what? This is going to be fine because I did philosophy. I studied philosophy. I'll surely remember all of that. I remember the arguments, and then the closer and closer it got, I was like, should probably try and remember the names. And then literally the last 10, 15 minutes, I've been watching the top 3 videos on YouTube of free will to
Oh,
give
buzzing
myself a
you,
brush up.
you fucking
But
well ahead of me then, bro. I've not got any of that.
yeah, but I mean, did I choose to do that, or was I always destined not to fucking look at them and do? Was it already planned out this way? So should I feel bad about not doing any prep, or should I be like, well, I was never my plan to. My path was never to do any research, which sounds like it's been the path I've been on for like at least the last 10 years of my life. The last time I did research was probably at uni. Since then, it's very much been a blag and sounding like you know what you're talking about. Um, maybe that was always my path, and maybe I shouldn't feel guilt. I should just be like, weren't me who wrote this story. I'm just acting it out.
Do you ever have them weird sort of paranoid delusions where you think that maybe you are just an old man telling the story of his life to some kids,
Well, I've
and that
taken.
that, that it genuinely doesn't matter that none of this is happening right now because we're literally just sat on a chair or sat on whatever a chair is in the future, like whispering to some kids either out of a bus window in a park or even our own grandkids.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived entire lives on fucking nitrous oxide balloons. I've thought I've lived like 30-year lives in the space of 15, 30 seconds. And then I've come out of them being like, I miss me kids. Like, where's me kids? So I thoroughly do know that. I've got an idea that I do know that. Like, that's something that's happened on like quite a few hallucinogenic drugs. Like, it's noticeably happened on NOS. It's definitely happened on ketamine. And I mean, me fucking acid death at Boomtown was pretty much all about that. It was like I was seeing my life as a story, and then I died, and I was seeing what was like going on after that. Like, it was fucking weird. Seems to be a recurring theme with me and hallucinogens. I don't know. I think it's the same for like other people, but it's been prominent through my drug experiences.
Fair. I just have sort of weird little hallucinations of what look like street signs. It's quite boring. I think that my imagination is overactive normally, so I think if I take out it just relaxes. And it's just like the
Uh,
most we can give you is a sign for the M45. Right.
is it in good? Is it accurate?
Normally it's a sign saying come off this way for Liverpool, and then I see like neon signs, and then I see fucking. Oh, dude, one of the things that's a regular would be Gyarados, you know, the Pokemon.
Yeah, it's well,
Just
it's
before I sort of
after
come round, I see the mouth of that coming at me quite viciously.
Big Gyarados fan was one of my favourite Pokemon up there with Onyx. Onyx never got enough rep, you know. Put some
No, no,
respect on Onyx's name, like he was doing shit being a big hard stone Pokemon.
no. Massive snake thing.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be racist. It could be like some
A
sort of
worm.
yeah. It could be a worm, could be a
Oh,
small worm.
mate. I heard a thing the other day. Don't know how true it is. It's on my list of things to look at. Apparently, no one knows where eels come from.
What is it evolutionary?
Generally, like they don't know where they've evolved from, and they don't know how they breed or how they give birth or where they come from. They don't know if it's like spores, like some form of mushroom. Speaking of which, I've now noticed I also have a mushroom growing on the ceiling of my dining room.
Oh,
Completely
nice.
off topic, but yeah, eels, mate. They could just be fucking spores. They could just appear out of nowhere. Like, are they just parasites or something that just keep growing and growing? Like, can an eel decide what to do? Is an eel the only thing that's truly free because it's not constrained by like fucking breeding and biological needs like we all are. We're all biologically programmed in it, or if biologically is a word, we're all programmed biologically. Fucking, I don't know another word for it to breed in it and make like procreate, have kids in that. So that's like one argument of free will. You've got to try and pass on your genetics. But if an eel doesn't need to do that, then is an eel above us?
I mean, has no one tried to like just follow them to where they may or may not be shagging?
Don't know. When I say and I found this out, it was like a little brief snippet that I saw on the internet.
Oh,
It might not even be
fantastic.
true. It might just be some idiot that thinks it's true. And they've
However,
fooled me anyway. I want to believe it.
like, I mean, it must be a pretty free lifestyle. The only thing that's harming eels are those videos of weird like
Japanese TV shows.
no of you. Well, I mean, I'm not thinking some of the Japanese videos I'm thinking aren't on TV, but you will find them on like eFucked. But like, the what I was thinking of is have you not seen those videos of I don't know if it's Indian or South Indian kids or somewhere in Asia. It's either South India or it could be moving down towards like further like Vietnamese or something. But there's loads of videos on the internet of like kids and people like pouring coke down holes to catch eels.
Oh,
But what they're actually doing is they've got like a fucking, they've dug what you can't see off the camera is they've dug like another hole and they're feeding the eels like up the hole so the only way they can come out is out the top. But it's become like a viral craze. So eels at the moment don't feel very free to me because I've seen them getting basically used as slave labor for TikTok videos, and that's the ultimate. That is 2020's gulag, I think, being imprisoned to make TikTok. Because if you think about it, the gulags were forced labor, and
mm.
what's more of a job now than a TikTok content producer? So they're literally doing forced content for free, and living their life in an existence of like imprisonment. So essentially, no, I disagree.
Fair enough. Well, I can agree with you though with that. To be fair, because
I need to
I
try and
remember
find
being
these
in Japan
videos.
in Tokyo. There was a I went past this house. I got lost in Tokyo, which is a fucking. I was by myself. I decided to get pissed and just wander around the streets, and I found this house, and there was no windows on it. All the windows had been bricked up or boarded up. But one of the windows had been replaced with a fish tank that was just full of eels. It was like a 2 foot wide by 3 foot high and a couple of feet back. And it was just fucking chock full of live eels, which is weird. But we can bring this back to free will and properly because and link it to MK Ultra because within MK Ultra, with some of the fucking files that got released to a guy that his name began with a J, I can't remember his name. But in the files that he got within MK Ultra, they were saying that they were doing tests on electric eels and fish like the elephant nose fish to try and harvest the genetics from it to try and put it into people
Right.
to try and see if people could conduct electricity like fucking Electro from Spider-Man.
That sounds exactly like the sort of shit that the US would have been doing in like the 70s, the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Like,
Yeah, well, yeah, this is what they've come out and said they were doing.
yeah, Cold War or post Cold War. Yeah, I mean, as in when you say it, I'm not surprised. I'm not like, oh, that's mental. It's like, yeah, that sounds perfectly reasonable for America. Absolute. I mean, it would be good to have X-Men, but then you sort of have the problems that come with having X-Men. And if they don't then actually want to fight for the cause that they want to be fighting for, and then you've actually made enemy X-Men, and then you're not X-Men, and then, well, you don't really win that one.
Well, you do win though, because realistically, a mutant is just like an X-Man is a mutant, which is a genetic mishap, realistically, which means that like all of the X-Men, even like from Xavier, which is going to sound pretty grim because he's in a chair, and even if I say Cyclops because he's kind of blind, but if we can think of one that's not really got an like a physical issue, Storm. Let's have Storm because then it
Yep.
doesn't sound anywhere near as bad. We'll have Storm, and so she realistically shouldn't be able to breed. And I'm not saying that from like that's not like a racial standpoint, but it's from like they're mules. They wouldn't their genetics end at that point, surely in like biology. They wouldn't be able to breed even amongst themselves because they're all genetically modified.
Yeah, well,
So they'd all die out anyway, but they'd kill all of us and
that's
then
what I
die
mean.
out.
During their time here, they'd managed to. I mean, I don't care about them fucking reproducing. I just care about the ones that are here now. Like the ones that are here now, bad enough. I'm not thinking of the next generation. But yeah, they did some fucking crazy shit. I'd like to see. Have you seen? I mean, fucking. Have you seen the size of conger eels?
Yeah, mate, they're fucking massive.
Those shits, like, they worry me. Those and, like, catfish and shit like that. Nah, you're alright. Seen the size of some fucking catfish?
Yeah, they're big, aren't they? Like even like a conger. If you think of anything that's fucking thicker than a shoebox, mate, and if that can get about, that's intimidating, isn't it? Realistically, like if you've got a dog that's smaller than a shoebox, it's fine.
Boot it. Yep.
Yeah. If it's slightly bigger than a shoebox, might be a bit more nimble. It's got longer legs. It instantly becomes a threat. Maybe that's how we should measure animals as threats in shoeboxes, because they used to measure animals in hands, innit?
In hands.
Like,
They still measure horses in hands.
did it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's mad. See, when I did the giant, they learnt about the giants and the gnomes. It was saying that they measured some people in America in, I think it was the 1700s, that were supposed to be giants, and they measured them in hands. But then when I measured hands against my door, they just came to about 5'8", 5'9". So I don't think I really understand what the hands are, because I'm 6'1" or something like that. My hands are, I would imagine, in proportion. So you'd think that would be a good size. Even then, that would be a fucking big person, but it's not. So I don't even. What is a hand?
I can't give you the exact measurement for a hand, but I don't believe it is your hand. Otherwise, like everyone's horse could be the same height, but it would all have different heights because all the owners have different sized hands. That would be a very, very ineffectual method of measuring horses if it was all your individual hand. If you didn't have a centimetre, but like a centimetre is not a centimetre, it's whatever you think a centimetre is, and then that's the equivalent of a hand.
But though, it would be good for tribalism, because then you just sort of sell amongst your own. Like 6 foot people could only sell to 6 foot people, because if they was to sell to someone who's 4'5", they'd be getting a bad deal.
Right? Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. I don't know if that sort of segregation or divide should be encouraged, but you're not wrong. That would be. I mean, the does that mean the short people at the bottom? Is this an economy that's like trickle down, and that it doesn't trickle down because they never get taller? The people at the very few people that get taller, there's just the ones that are still growing. So is that your sort of version of a trickle down economy?
I don't know if it would really affect the economy though. Realistically, all it'd mean is that taller people would get somewhere faster because they'd have bigger horses. I don't know if it would. They could still charge like 50,
Size of your horse is
50
the size of
coins for the
it's
horse.
stature, isn't it? Like you're not going
Yeah, maybe.
like you're not going to go if two people turn up to me on a horse and one of them is on like a thoroughbred fucking beast, magnificent, majestic beast, and the other one's on a Shetland pony. I'm not treating those two people like with the same amount of respect and dignity. Not like.
But if they're in proportion, though, I mean, if they're both like fucking 6'6" and they're both one of them's on each of them horses, then clearly no, you don't treat the one on the small horse with the same respect. Don't treat him with any respect. He's not taking himself seriously. He
Unless
could walk somewhere faster.
I mean, unless like they are warriors, and if they both turn up, and they're the only two there, and the bloke that's on the Shetland pony is still alive, even though he's gone into battle on a Shetland pony, then I'm giving that bloke all the respect. To be fair, because he's quite clearly a hard cunt. He hasn't
Nah,
had.
not at all. He'd be a shit warrior. Well, he'd survive. The only reason he's surviving a horseback combat on a Shetland is because he's out the way of everyone's swords and axes.
Nah,
He's ducking them all,
he's going
running through the legs of
He's
horses.
taking out the Achilles of horses. That's what
Then
he's
you
doing.
definitely shouldn't respect him. He's fucking sly.
That's an
Whereas the
integral
other
part
guy's
of.
having to proper fight.
Whoa, who says war is noble? You'd never win a war like that. It's dirty tactics. Think mustard gas. Think fucking
true.
atom bombs. Think slicing the Achilles tendons of horses. That's
Horse
the way.
slashing.
That's the way you win wars. Like, I'm not fucking messing about. If I'm going into battle, I'm eye gouging, I'm kicking in the balls. I'm basically doing all the only things that are banned in MMA rules is what I'm doing. Nose biting, I'll titty twist the air. That, right, nipple cripples are not used enough in mixed martial arts. It's a point I've brought up a lot. And fucking, can you call them Chinese burns? Are you allowed to call them? I'm calling it a Chinese burn. Like,
That's all I know it as.
There isn't anything else. What do you call it? An arm cripple? No, it's not the same. Nipple cripple's funny because it rhymes.
An arm.
An arm harm. I'm gonna give you some arm
That's
harm.
hard for me to say.
That
But
is
yeah, an arm
fucking
harm.
shit. 'Cause I was thinking it too. I was like, no, I'm not going to say it. But they're not used enough in MMA. And I feel that if you're fighting someone and you're both great at MMA and you're on the floor, like, bit of punching each other and then you've got some jiu-jitsu holds going on, if you pull out something they've never had to deal with in, like, training and just nipple cripple them, that's a fucking immediate advantage. It's like doing an oil check, which is when you stick a finger up someone's ass while you're, like, wrestling. Like, that's a shocker. But imagine nipple cripple. Imagine being the first person to ever get a win in mixed martial arts via nipple cripple. Submission via nipple cripple.
Imagine being the first person to try it though, and the fucking ridicule you'd get. He was doing so well. He could have won it. And then he grabbed his nipple, and he still won it. But it's not the same. Where's the sporting in that? Unless you both got it.
All's fair
Do you
in
ever
blood and
watch
war.
them slapping competitions?
Yes.
Where they get them big fuck off blokes to fucking just knock each other about in the eardrums.
It's absolutely amazing.
I love that, mate.
It's
I love
absolutely
watching
amazing. It's one step away from having one-on-one. You kick me in the balls, and then I'll kick you in the balls, and we'll see who drops first.
Yeah.
It's literally that. Like, it's how far can we devolve sport? Let's get it to this point. Yeah, fuck it. Why not? Why don't we do steel chair on steel chair? You hit me over the head with a steel chair. I'll hit you over the head with a steel chair.
Flip
it's
a
like
coin for who goes first. Heads or tails? Oh, it's heads. You won the toss and the match. Should we just call it a day there?
Nope. I mean, we've got off topic, but again, I think that this is. Did we, or were we always meant to be
It was
down
always
here?
meant to happen.
Why? Why did you want to choose this?
I don't know. It just sort of came to me. I was using a random word generator.
Yeah,
and then
that
it
random
never came up. That
random
word
word-
that did come up, mate. Fucking soil. It shocked me. Well, that's still not happening. Me episode on soil. I mean, I've got nothing for it.
No,
I've
it's
got nothing
coming.
planned for soil.
It's episode 10.
Ah, we've got another couple of weeks for him to look
Yeah,
forward to that then.
I did say. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be the stoner here, and like I'm the one who remembers what we're doing.
Oh,
Yeah, we're gonna do episode 10, and we may or may not. That could be the first video episode as well.
oh, I'll have to
Yeah,
put some proper clothes on.
yeah. You have to stop sitting in that mankini you've sat in for the first 8 episodes.
I know. Might as well wash it then if I'm not
Yeah,
going to
you
be wearing it that day.
probably do that as well. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's just a lot. Some of the memorabilia's got to go. The SS flag, that's got to go. The
I'll cover
SS,
up the tattoos as
you got
well,
the
and
SS
people aren't
flag,
going to
but
want to see them.
also the Israeli Defense Force. That's a weird selection of flags you've got there together. They'll both
That's the
have
one
to
that you
go.
gave me. That was the printout that came with your book on iconography. What, you wanted that in the background?
Yeah, it's a really good book. It's a really good book. I've been following up with some other interesting books since. I've just got into like essentially books, photojournalism books that will probably get you put on a watch list.
Nice. Have you got,
Um,
what others have you got?
I haven't bought them yet, but I've got like a list of there's some conflict ones. There's a book on narco journalism in like South America. Just I mean,
Well, speaking of drugs in South America, then there's one that
always
takes away free will. Free will, scopolamine, scopolamine.
scopolamine is
That takes away free will.
what's it known as, the something
Some,
breath, devil's breath.
it
Columbia,
might be
I think
dragon's
it's
breath.
called.
Is it?
No, it's devil. It's
Is
definitely
it devil?
devil. It's definitely
Yeah.
devil. I think it's devil's breath. But yeah, that stuff is. So you need a very tiny dose of it,
Mm.
and it can render you completely like just under the will of whoever you're with. Basically, done it. So
Yeah.
you're essentially essential. Everything's like hypnotism, and you'll do whatever's suggested to you. You're very susceptible to any sort of like questions or like sort of, if someone wants you to do something, you'll just do it without asking. Like the biggest thing, like the sort of biggest thing I've seen on it, and I did a reading after that, was the scopolamine episode on Vice, which was years ago. Like
Yeah, but that was a good episode though.
it was before Vice went to shit. This was like 6-7 years ago. Off the back of it, I used to DJ for a rave, and they used to have a T-shirt that said Ganraj and Eat Cowies, and we did a little limited edition one that was Ganraj and Scran Scopolamine, which didn't sell all that well. I don't know why. I don't
No,
know why.
no.
But it's primarily used by like prostitutes and like con artists and robbers and like
Taxi
thieves, innit?
drivers as
Yeah,
well. I
taxi
mean,
drivers.
taxi drivers are dodgy people anyway. They're trying to get strangers into their car for money.
Yeah.
But like they would put it in that documentary, the Vice thing. There was a taxi driver that openly says that he used it. I'm
Yes.
sure he says that, and he just used to throw it in the air in the thing, and then tell him to go to the speed bank, get all the money out of the speed bank, get back in the taxi, and then he'd tell him to go and walk into the sea.
No, I don't. Well, I don't. Possibly, I don't know. Or was he not the one who said he used to use it himself? Because you can take it yourself in little amounts, and it's like it does something else instead. But wasn't he the one that was taking them about and like saying that how people would use it by just throwing it up in the air? Anyway,
I might have misunderstood it.
yeah, no, you might be me being the idiot, but it's you need a tiny amount, and then once it gets past a tiny amount, it's like the next step's death. There's
Kind of like Jeeves.
like what?
Jeeves, like GBH,
Oh
innit?
yeah,
GHB. Like,
well,
that's
yeah.
similar.
That's
Except it doesn't make you a zombie, it just knocks you out.
yeah. I mean, I've done it. I've only done GHB like 2-3 times,
Never,
and
not even once, mate. You fucking have heard the stories about what it's used for, and that you only need like a milliliter over a recommended dose, and you can be fucking out for hours.
yeah. Well, I know this. It didn't happen to me, but I'd done it a couple of times, and because I'd known about GHB for years, and that's loud. Yeah, I'd known about GHB for years, but like, that's why when I took it, I knew I was only taking little tiny sips, and it was all right, but it wasn't that nice well, I didn't like it in comparison with other drugs that I liked, like Mandy. Like I much preferred taking MD, 2CB at the time, like little bits of Kate, and it just wasn't as good as them. So I didn't see any point in taking more. But one night we were at a rave in Leeds at Vagabonds, and my mate brought a bottle, and he was sipping and sipping and sipping. And then just out of nowhere in the smoking area, just fell, like, he was just sat on a bench and just fell face forward and just, like, landed on the bench. So I had to sit there for hours, like 3-4 hours, just sat, like, so frustrating, because every time a bouncer come round, I had to sort of lift his head up, put my arm around, like, "You all right, mate?" No, let's
And
pretend
perform an oil check just to make him jolt a little bit, make him look like he's alive.
Nipple crippled him, just absolutely whipped out a nipple crippled Chinese, burned him, and then I give him like a cow bite when you do that thing, and then you just go bat, and then dead legged him. But that went on for about 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours, and then when he come round, just no memory of it whatsoever.
Yeah, terrifying, isn't it? So then, does everyone, if people can choose to do that, knowing what that's going to do to them, does everyone deserve free will?
Well, I don't know if you can you frame the question like that, though? Because if you're saying does everyone deserve it, like, what if we haven't got it, and what if you were predetermined to take that? So we're all going around arguing that we've got it, and then we choose to take it knowing full well. I mean, if you want to put it that way, right? Why do any of us get in a car? Do we deserve to have free will because we all get in a car every day that's got an internal combustion engine that's burning however much fuel, and like it's doing damage to the environment? You've also got to think of like all the parts that make that car. It's got batteries, it's got this, it's got that, all the transport that's taken to get those parts of that car together to get it here. The materials sourced, do they use slave labour and all that shit? It boils down to, like, if you were to think about all that, would you do anything any day? Because if it's the sort of point you can take, if you really want to be, I mean, like, if people have, like, vegans, or should be, and 99% are vegan because they want to do better, like, or what they seem to be better, and not harm animals and remove them from the food chain because using meat in what they deem using meat in the food chain is destructive to them. They've all got lives like us. They deserve to have it to do whatever they want. Blah blah blah. But you could, if you want to be a cunt to them in the argument, you could just take that to the nth degree and be like, well, you do this and you do this, and you live in a house that was built on land that destroyed a habitat and you could just pick all you want. If people are trying to do good, I know this is related to drugs, I'll come back to it. Like, it's, as long as you're doing it to a reasonable degree, you should be fine. And what I mean, this comes back to drugs, is like, if you're using something with the knowledge of the harm it can do, but you're smart enough and you're going into it with good intentions and you've got that knowledge, then you're more than likely able to control yourself and behave in such a way that you don't abuse it, that if you didn't have that knowledge. If you don't have that knowledge and go into something blind, then you maybe shouldn't have free will for your own health. But I would say that if you have the knowledge to do something like that and you go into it knowing the risks, you're more likely to be able to control the situation in such a way that you're not susceptible to those risks.
But even though in the situation you gave, the example where he knew the risks and he knew what was going on, he still did it in a smoking area and ended up unconscious, face down, arse up, surrounded by a bunch of strangers for a few hours.
He's a prick, though.
Well, I'm not doubting that. That
I'm not on about,
kind of comes across because he ruined your evening.
You know, but I'm not on about that. Like, I'm not on about him specifically. Okay. I'm on about people in general. But yeah, you're right.
Okay.
You're right. It's your, but then.
So then maybe a better way for me to word it. Then I'll word it a better way. If you was to say everyone's got free will, we'll give it a given. Everyone's got free will just for the next couple of minutes at least. Everyone's got it. We agree they've all got it just for a couple of minutes.
Yep.
And then say you do something, and instead of having the punishment of you go to prison, What if they could inject something into you or scan you with a fucking microwave weapon or something, and all of a sudden your free will's gone?
A
It's
const
expired.
a
Like the
very
little plastic thing that they have in toys from McDonald's, and you pull it out and the batteries can touch. They just wedge that back into you somehow.
Oh yeah, like a very constant low dose of scopolamine, like we've been talking, just like
Yeah,
like
that'd do it,
a
wouldn't it?
grain every 6 hours or something, and just tell them, right, you go work this now, you just go do that job for a bit. Oh yeah, okay. Well, this is this is what I was gonna say. Really, it was like it's almost as like you're suggesting a license to free will. Do you know what I
What would
mean?
you think about that?
Like you'd have a license to drive a car.
Yeah,
Um,
you have to
uh,
pass a test. But then how could you pass the test?
this is what I
Because you
mean.
wouldn't be able to choose to do it. So does it
Exactly.
even exist? Is it could it is it just a concept that someone who's very fucking intelligent has brought up and made up
Free
to try
will.
and make it? Yeah,
So you've
it
got
just
like the two. You've got sort of. You've got what we would call libertarian free will, or well, which is it's one of the most common concepts, and then you've got
explain
determinism.
what that is. I don't know what either of them are. So
So
go on.
free will is basically you've got if I think that I'm free
Mm.
and I've got the ability to think that I'm free, then I can judge that feeling to be truth. Now, the philosophical argument against this is if you've only got a feeling to prove your theory and everything else suggests otherwise, then you disregard your feeling because that's all it is. There's no empirical evidence. So determinism is thought of in a lot of Christianity. Free will is thought of in other sects as well, but it's an argument that comes up a lot now. One of them, I mean, you can take it to levels both ways. You can take it that your plan has sort of been that because one of the things they do is to argue one of the things that's argued in philosophy a lot is free will and whether it relates to God. Because if God's omnipotent and he's planned out everything, then you haven't got free will. If you've got free will, then he's not created everything and can't know everything that's going to happen because you've got free will and you can change that. But yeah, it's something that's come up a lot. Determinism can be taken to the point where we can basically, I can't remember who said it, but there was one philosopher or thinker, whatever, theologian, blah, 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 who's basically like, if you're not to blame for your actions and you realise that, then what do you do? What sort of point? What do you do? Because you've sort of every act you do is accounted for by a higher power. So you can essentially go on a path of whatever you want. Now that can then send you on a good path or bad path. Because what do you want to do with that? Do you want to go, well, I've got no blame here, so I'm going to go down a path of destruction and like all that shit and just go on a war path because it's not me to blame? Or do you go, well, this is how my life's panned out for us, and it was obviously meant to be a life of light. So do I go down that instead? He didn't say that. I've just completely made up the last bit myself, but it sort of poses those questions.
Well, which one would you go for? I think I'd go for the darkness myself. I'd go for the warfare, and the if you was thinking like that and you become that sort of, because you were to get to that point, you've got to be somewhat then numb to the world and everything and everyone around you, because you think, well, nothing matters. It is the epitome almost, isn't it, of being nihilist. So you'd be like, well, I'm not in control of anything. Nothing matters. I can't do out. So I might as well just fucking allow for. But even then, to make that decision, this is where it falls apart, innit? See, I said free will in the hope that we could fucking ramble on about like MK Ultra and that. I never realised it'd be a philosophical debate, man. I'm quite
Well, it goes
enjoying
down
this.
it
This
all.
is quite nice.
Goes down it
It's,
all, doesn't it? Because
yeah.
I mean, that if you want to argue, video games and your sort of theory behind video games also fits into free will. Like, if you want to create, and there's another argument: is life a completely what you want, a completely free, open game that has no ending, has no predetermined ending whatsoever? You've just got the materials out there to do what you want with, and you can pan out your whole existence on that video game as you wish with no specific end. You just live out however you want in whatever possibilities? Or is it more of an RPG where you've got you've got the start, you are you, so you've been created on Earth as you are in the game. Sounds like the start of the Lord's Prayer, but
I thought you was going to say as it is.
Yeah, and on here as it is in Fallout. Give us this day our daily power armor. No, so you've got your person, and then you sort of get to create that person. So you get to create that person as you would on the game, like through you changing your appearance in life. You get to change those skill levels by doing as you do with learning. In an RPG, you can go off and do whatever you want, whatever side missions and that, blah, blah, blah. But there's a start and an end, and there's some core missions through the middle you've got to do. Like, it sort of gives you the argument of which one could we be? Could we be your idea, which we're going to go into another time with games, which is like you want a game that never ends.
Yeah.
That's
be absolutely anything.
Absolutely anything. You can do what you want. You can complete. You can't complete it because there's nothing to complete. But there's infinite possibilities, and I sort of see your argument, but we're gonna go into it in more detail in future because I want to see more of it. Or is it where, like Marv just said, where you've sort of got, you can go off and do whatever you want like GTA, but there's still a fucking end where you and Trevor and Franklin have to go and shoot it up and then spread the money.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard, and it's hard to say which one it'd be. It's probably more likely that it is. It depends on you. You a god, like you say. God is, but then again, man, nah, because if that they say God's omnipotent, so he's got all the power in that, but then they get around that and they can almost say that the free will side of it, you could be, instead of it being like an RPG, it could be the open world, fucking anything is possible, because they say he's omniscient because he's all seeing, so he can see all of the possibilities at the same time. But that would mean that they're all predetermined anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a little pyramid, isn't it? Of this happens, so that go like a flow chart.
Yeah, it really is, mate. Like I went from a non-religious school to a Catholic sixth form, and I did philosophy at that sixth form. And obviously, it was heavily Christian oriented. And as much as I'm not religious. To say that as in I don't believe in any religion specifically. But like, it was interesting to see the arguments and interesting to see exactly that, how you could pretty much write them off into diagrams. And that's how we broke them down to study. It's like, well, this count as this one, and this count as this one, and that count as that one. And you see like the sort of extremities of each argument. And if you look at them all, you're like, well, there's bits of truth in all of them, really. But those are they only apply if there's a higher being. Obviously, you would like to think that we can determine what we want to do for ourselves, but every organism that's born has a sort of purpose in life to do what it does, and it's predetermined to do that before it's even born.
Because they're never born.
They just fucking appear.
They're just there.
They just appear and they're jellied, and that's it.
What if we are eels and we're like the weird little shadow from an eel?
What, like it's
with
sort
the spirits of eels?
Yeah, the spirits of eels gone by.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've thrown off the very serious where we were going with that, but
I'm glad, because to be honest, it was as much as it was
quite deep.
Yeah, as much as it got deep, it's not fucking entertaining at all.
No, not at all. It's just stoner talk. I'm not bright enough for that, to be honest, bro. Because I'm going to be honest. Since you've said the word theologian 3 times, I just wanted to tell you that I got a bollocking at psychology in college because I misunderstood what the word theologian meant, and I got it mixed up in my head with a griffin. And I started having a go at the teacher, asking why it's got to do with theologians, and why would a theologian be there? They're not even real. And then they were like, "What do you think a theologian is?" And I explained it, and they just looked at me all confused. So I drew it, and it turned out that what I thought it was a griffin. And then I wasn't allowed to answer questions or ask questions for the rest of the year, really, in that class.
Thomas Aquinas and Immanuel Kant with just huge eagle wings and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I didn't say I was good at it. I just said I fucking did it. I mean, I liked it, but I've always been interested in philosophy. Not again, I'm not religious. I'm interested in how people think. Same as why I did psychology. I'm intrigued as a non-believer in certain things, and as someone who hasn't experienced certain things like in psychology and shit. I'm interested in knowing what those people think and why, and how they've bought into that, and I haven't. Like that's what
Yeah,
motivates us
that
to.
gets me as well.
Yeah, that's why I'm so interested in like in cults and fucking like
Yeah,
crime and like criminals and like shit like that. It's some of it's the morbid curiosity, but it goes a bit deeper. It's like why have I? Because we've all got our own unique our own unique mental state and our unique things we buy into and our reasoning behind that. And that's what interests us is why have I gone down this way? And it's again, it works out in paths. Were we
yeah.
predetermined to like these things, or did we just have we managed to through free will decided we like these things? And I'm intrigued to find out what sort of likes and what sort of combination of interests and like studies and knowledge comes together to build a certain person that goes one way and then one that goes a completely other way. And the only way by doing that is going to like learn from them. I find it interesting as fuck.
No, it is, but you'd have to speak to them all. Do you reckon one of the best ways to describe like the different pathways would be if you was to get, say, you get some of them underground pipes, and then you file all of like you have all them different sizes going down right to fiber optic, and you was to pile them all in front in like fucking from smallest to largest, and then you try and pass through them pipes. So the first big pipe you go through, then the next pipe you'd be able to go through, say, five, then the next one you'd be able to go through five. But dependent on the first pipe you go through would be dependent on what pipe you get to at the end. But realistically, you could still work your way over from right to left in this sort of beehive of pipe networks. And that's how the paths would be if you had to draw it or make it into like a 3D concept or something that you could touch and explain it with, rather than saying like being quite is it the word of feral, where you're saying it's like you've got these because the paths are sort of made up, aren't they? Obviously they're not like dirt paths, they're not like desire lines on grass. They're you got option, you take option A and that allows you to go to option D, E and F. Whereas if you was to take option B, you could go to E, F and G. Like they still, some of them will still lead to the same paths.
Yeah, yeah, a
But
bit like again like a flowchart.
yeah, oh yeah, I'm just describing
But a
a flow
three.
chart in a
Well, no,
more
yeah, but
complicated way.
it's a sort of 3D one in a way because you have other things that can attach themselves to that rather than just one way coming out. You've got other things that could then come in. So because you've got other people, obviously.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's fascinating, mate. Like it really is.
it's
So it's the question from us. Well, no, from a sort of non-religious aspect, there's still a question of free will from what's determined by our sort of social status, our background, our financial situation, things like that. There's still sort of an element of free will there. It's just our higher. It's not controlled by a higher being. It's controlled by our situation and our circumstance. I think that's still sort of prevalent. I don't know if I'm talking absolute bullshit, but I don't think I am.
I think I understand, but I wouldn't know how to explain it, which is part of the problem with this for everyone, isn't it? That's why people have spent fucking decades, like some people have assigned their whole lives to try and figure out free will and that, and we thought we were big-headed enough to think we could do it in an hour and take the piss out of it.
Oh no, I
We,
never thought I'd
like,
solve it, but I thought I could chat shit long enough just
oh
to
no,
make
I'm
an
quite a
episode.
big-headed guy, bro. I thought we might be able to fix it.
Nah, man, I've come to the point where, like, I've read and watched so much, and when I say so much, it's so much for me. It's nothing in comparison with people who've actually studied this shit, and people who have lived this, and obviously it is their vocation and their life. But even I've watched and read enough to go, I don't understand a lot. Like,
Oh.
I can simplify things to what my understanding is, but I mean, I'm lost. And when I listen to when I watch some things and listen to some things, like a few years ago, I'd watched some of the videos or read some of the things I've read and gone, yeah, I get that, fine. But now I've grown up a bit and learned a little bit more. I'm like, actually, like, no, my understanding of these concepts were concrete a few years ago. But now I question things even more than that. And I'm like, I don't think
Yeah.
I understand these concepts enough to then even answer this question.
Exactly that, mate. Exactly that. Like it's mad how that happens. I've noticed that in stuff like you look into something and you're like, yeah, I get this, I get this, I get this, and then you can find one little bit of evidence for something or one little fact or even if it's completely unrelated, and then you come back to the other bit and you're like, wow, man, that means that if like one of the things that did it with me was when I was researching animals and that like the fucking that's how I came to the conclusion that the international whaling ban was what was actually causing coastal property depreciation. Because I was trying to work out because if the seas have always been moving, then how can we even have a coast? Because it would always be eroding the coast. So where's all that gone? And that's how I ended up finding out that the whaling got banned, and then that started happening more, and that changed. That was one that I know it sounds fucking ridiculous, and it does, and you're laughing, and it is a stupid thing to say, and I
No,
get
no,
that because it
no.
is a
The
bit.
things are
It
connected.
is, yeah, but at the same time, it is a bit. But that is one of the things that when I figured that out, that changed how I saw pretty much everything.
Yeah, but if you
Because
think like coasts have always changed, but there was a point when all of the continents were together. So as land masses have changed, like as you're right, coasts have constantly been eroding, but coasts have been eroding for longer than we've been here. So when they've split, like we've only experienced the coasts we've got now because they're the ones that have been around the last few hundred years. Maps were different before that and different before that, so coastal regions have been different before that. But your theory, as funny as it was, because it was on, wasn't it on a previous show?
yeah, I can't
Yeah,
remember which one. Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was, but it's one of those where it's something that I'd laugh on the surface, but then the more and more shit I've read, like when I read that book on geopolitics, and it made few things click, that theories that I wouldn't have never put together. It's like, oh yeah, that makes a fucking lot of sense. So
Yeah,
there's no
one
reason why it
thing
wouldn't
can
be a contributing
influence.
factor. Yeah,
Yeah, it can influence it, which is mad. This whole episode, bro, it's like you've been that little nice little voice that disappeared from my head when I was about 14. You know, the one that just sort of has been like, calm down, it's okay. It's actually more like this. It's been quite a relaxing week
yeah,
for me,
but
this one.
it's cause right, like I used to. I went in proper. I didn't know that sounds. I didn't go in proper hard on the conspiracy shit during like sixth form and uni. From I didn't not as in I'd believed in them, but I went in hard as in I wanted to know about fucking everything. Just because I wanted to know, like I was studying journalism, I wanted to know like what sort of how Raj shit could get, and I wanted to know all the theories. I wanted to know all everyone's views and shit. And now I've sort of grown up a bit. It's like you can't. You not only you can't, but you don't need to. You really don't
No,
need
no,
to. And the
no.
more and more shit sometimes you read, you get lost. You get lost in the sauce. You
It's
get
not even.
lost.
I don't know what that means to get lost in the sauce, but it feels like the more you learn, the more it pushes you away from everyone else, kind of thing. Like you're like, because when you start, if you start a conversation, like if it's not in this sort of situation, and you're saying to someone, you know, in a queue, say at the post office, and you're like, oh, have you ever heard of the just because it's in my head, I'm not going to be able to get it out of my head now. The international commercial whaling ban of 1986. People look at you like, are you okay?
Unless it's a fisherman, in
Who's
which case he's
who's
like,
supposed to be in here with you?
"Oh, what time do you go back?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And again, like that's one of the reasons I've still got that side, and I'm still always interested in that shit. But I've just realised there are sort of certain paths that have a little bit of truth to them, and maybe a little bit that's worth exploring, and a few that are that stupid that they're worth looking at. But in between, there's just so much waffle that like you can't waste your time with that. You can't waste your time with that at all. I'd like to think that that wasn't my predetermined path in life if I didn't have free will. And I feel sorry for the people that do. The people that buy into they're so anti mainstream media because alternative media has told them to be scared of mainstream media. They treat alternative media like a religion and just buy into everything. I feel sorry for those people because it was their predetermined path to be paranoid, overly paranoid for life, and that has to hurt. It has to really hurt.
It's got to be scary as fuck, ain't it? But would they know that they're paranoid? Would they really feel paranoid? Because they'll
No,
feel empowered, won't they?
no, they think
They'll
they're on
feel
the
like
right
they know.
path. They think we're
Yeah,
fucking idiots. We might
yeah.
be idiots. I don't think we are, but we might be idiots.
I'm pretty sure I am.
I'd go as far as, oh, we're idiot. By the way, the thing you were talking about earlier, when you were saying you used to think you knew about it a lot, and then you started learning, like realizing you know less, is Dunning Kruger. It's the Dunning Kruger effect.
Go on.
I don't know if you've ever seen it. You probably have seen it, and you may have even heard it before. Even in lyrics, it's exactly that. It's a graph, and you can map it. It's basically the shape of a U, and it's the amount of time you spend learning something. So you go in knowing no knowledge of anything, right? And you start at like the bottom, and then you go you realize going further on that as you learn more, you're like, no fucking, and then say about 10 years in, you're like, I know everything about this topic because you've studied it for that long. But then you study it like another 10 years, and it curves back up because you start realizing the longer and longer and longer you start to study something, you actually know less and less. You know what you've known everything you've learned at that time, but you realize there's so much more to learn. So you stop being arrogant and realizing that you're thinking you're fucking Billy Big Bollocks, and you start going, oh yeah, I do know this much. But all this has done is unlocked a load of other questions that I now don't have the answer to, but I'm sort of halfway there.
So is learning the enemy?
It's to a degree, mate. Yes, like both yes and no. Like if you think about it, think about the people that don't question anything in the media at all, just do their work in an office job, work in a factory, right? Do their shift, they go home, they put the telly on, sit with a partner, sit with the kids, have telly, they watch Come Dine With Me, they watch fucking Dancing on Ice, fucking
They might.
whatever the dancing one is,
A bit fruity.
whatever the dancer, Strictly Come Dancing, that's what's on right this second. They watch the dancing thing, they do the foxtrots and that, but they don't question anything, they just believe what they see in the news, and they're completely ignorant to anything else. Like, those people, on one side, it must be bliss.
Hero, innit?
Yeah, on one side it must be bliss because you're not bothered about world affairs and you don't give a fuck and you don't care about the atrocities that are going on. You don't care about, and it's not that you don't care, it's that you're not bothered to even look out, so you don't know they're even happening because you've never bothered to find out because you're just not interested. That at one side is absolute bliss, but it also makes you very susceptible to the one thing that you are listening to, which is coming through your telly. So the mainstream voice is all you take in, and that makes you susceptible to control in a very one-directional sense.
But everyone else that you will know is listening to that. Everyone else in all the other ruthless offices in that block will be exactly like you.
Yeah. On the other hand,
you would never even notice.
So on the other hand, if you choose to go down the path like us and most of the people listening, because they're fucking tuned into this bollocks, if you've chosen to go down the path that isn't buying into that, and you've chosen to expand your horizons, take in information wherever you can, actively seek out different opinions, things like that. On one hand, that lack of ignorance has made you aware of a whole load of information and knowledge and possibly wisdom that you would never have had access to before, which is brilliant, but it also makes you aware of all the atrocities going on, all the darkness going on, all the evil that's going on, the fact that you can't control any of it, the fact that it doesn't matter. People who give a little bit of charity in that, and they're like, oh yeah, this is fucking great. They feel great doing that, and that's good for them because they don't have the knowledge that that's going nowhere, and the things that you're trying to solve are never going to be solved. And if you become aware of that, it's great that you're not buying into the linear, this is the story, you're going to believe whatever comes out this screen, but it just makes you aware of everything fucking shit that you're never going to be able to get a handle on. So is that good or bad?
Bad, innit, really? Do you reckon that's why there's so much depression in younger people?
So much.
Because we've been brought up with
the
so
internet.
much Media, yeah.
The internet, mate. I
So
swear.
do you believe then that the internet is supposed to be like the oh, I don't know how to word it. It was like a quote unquote commie tool that was supposed to have been developed in say the late 60s, around the same time that they were trying to counteract when they were trying to manipulate people with MK Ultra and such. There was rumors going round that media had been all that mainstream media was realistically for was to, control, and then they were going to influence education and entertainment from the red side, if you like, the quote unquote red side
Yeah.
was going to try and influence that. And is that why it's the red pill in the Matrix?
Um. No, I don't. Well, I'm not entirely sure. There's a few arguments for that. Possibly, there's possibly the argument that it's like, well, I can't remember the other theories. I've watched films on deconstructing the Matrix, but possibly it could be do that. It could be Republican and Democrat. That's America, innit? Which
Oh
side are you
shit, yeah.
buying into?
Yeah.
I don't think so because the two blokes that directed it and created it are, I think they're both trans. I think they're heavily like, they're not Republicans. I wouldn't imagine. However, the Wachowski brothers, was it? Was that
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah,
those-
that's them. So
the one-eyed fellas from Monster Inc.
I don't think it was that sort of tool. It possibly, I don't know. I don't, and I'm not entirely. I don't think it's been engineered in such a way. Social media possibly has, but I don't think it's been engineered in such a way that it was always going to be evil. I think that our curiosity, as much as our want to communicate, and then that combined with an ability to market communication, is that's been heavily influenced, a heavy influence on the fact that, and on how much social media has taken over lives, and that sort of side of what can cause depression. The other side with the news, the fact that it's just being there, the fact that we have access to it, and our curiosity, that's what's created that. In a way, that's done itself. We've done that ourselves. All we've had is the ability to look elsewhere, and some people have wanted to look elsewhere. However, again, it comes to a point where if it can be marketed, like the news isn't just something I learned at uni and I've never forgotten, is the news isn't a service, it's a product. It's not a service. It's not that it's not provided to you by, like, it's not like the fire brigade or the fucking police. You don't pay for it via tax and then you're delivered facts because you've paid for that and it's your right and have that as a service. It's a product. It's got to be sold. So the information's got to be presented in such a way that it appeals to your target audience. Your stories have to reflect the views of your target audience. It's got to be marketed, so you've got to add adverts, you've got to have catchy headlines, you've also got to pay for it via advertising, so you've then got to think about the views of your advertisers and the people that are going to be funding your paper. So your news is completely packaged. It's not the news. That has been so much more prevalent on the internet. Like, but when it was in print journalism, it happened, but yes, it happened, but it was only from several angles. Like here, it's every angle, and now it's a proper competition as to who can thrust their shit in your face the most, and that's when the death of journalism happens. Because it's not about the truth anymore. It's about
Selling adverts and
it's about selling adverts and getting your audience behind you.
oh.
It used to be that the media dictated the public, and there's sort of this weird thing now where both dictate each other because the public are so obvious with what they want on the internet that those media companies that want to control them can see what they want from social media and regurgitate it back to them through their media houses, and then it appears as if they've done the news. Really, they haven't provided the news. They've just regurgitated what their audience have said online. Look at when they break down Twitter statuses, like tweets and that.
Yeah.
You're like, that's not news. You've literally taken your audience
Well,
and regurgitated their thought and packaged it up and sold it as news again.
the thing you're describing, it's there was a thing in, I think it was in Norse mythology, where the symbol of it was two snakes eating each other's tails.
Yes.
And what if that was supposed to be like a premonition or a precursor And that's because that had something to do, I think, with the end of times when that starts to sort of more so consume itself and it gets tighter like a noose. I can't remember off the top of my head. It is something along those lines, like and that's going on there, as you're saying, isn't it? The media's funding the public's fueling the media, vice versa, and it's consuming itself and consuming itself. So then what happens there? And it kind of brings it back to eels, mate. Because do we end up with a two-headed eel, or do we end up with a two-tailed eel, or does it go all the way through, shit each other out, and it all becomes completely inverted and resets back to normal when people
That's
get
how
sick of it?
that's how eels are born. So you don't. What actually happens is there have been
Journalists.
there have been no births or deaths of eels since the first amount of eel. There's exactly the same. Even though some have been eaten in jellied form by people in London and stuff like that, like there are exact amount of eels now that there ever has been. Because what they do when they want to die is they literally do what you've just said. They do the whole snake eating itself. Two of them team up instead of mating. This is what they do. They link up and they eat each other, and then as they go in and then come back out, that's a new fleshy version, like a bit like getting a new skin if you were a snake, but an entire new organism. They go through a little fusion on the inside, and then they both come out different eels. Exact amount of eels in the sea that there always has been.
And there's a threshold first. We've encountered another thing. Last week it was rankings issues with fighting off. Was it Chinese people on a pier?
Over
We
cocaine.
learned about Now we've learned that eels come from there. As like a final thought for you, because I've wanted to get it in for the whole show but not had chance. Should we free will?
Uh, no.
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 Well, there we go.
In the authoritarian regime that is the Threshold.fm universe, we should never free will. Nah, man. I think do we introduce licenses like you said? I think I see many cases that argue for it. I'll agree with you there. There's at least twice a day when I come across cases that argue for it. But I
like
think
the people that kick dogs to death, mate. They shouldn't be allowed to fucking
stuff
have
like that, and
stuff like that. That's
it would
fucking
be
grim.
It would be a better, because if you think right, if you took away free will from people, it's better than prison because you could put them to use and shit, and they just don't know or they don't care. It's not very humanitarian, but it's better for society. But I don't know. Could I be that much of a cunt? Possibly.
We could prove free will. The way to prove free will, then, if that's the case, and you could make it a license and somehow assign it to a genetic trait or whatever, you could prove if it does exist or doesn't exist. Because then when you start making the counterfeit licenses, and you get forgers making fake free will licenses, like, oh, here's a license for free will. They are.
Or you borrow
would
your
it
mates
work?
and stick your paper on, your picture on.
Yeah, would it work?
Yeah, but mate, however, to do that, we've already invented some sort of technology that can remove someone's free will, which is theoretical and doesn't exist.
This is where I get lost. This is where I get lost in stuff, man. This is
honestly, right, coming into this show, I thought this is going to be raged for him, and I've thought all the way through this, I'm the one reeling this in, and I thought I was going to be the one going off on tangents.
No, I struggle with this sort of stuff. This is why I like this sort of stuff.
I do, but I thought I was going to be the worst one. I think we're eating into Chode's time on that one.
Sorry, Chode.
This episode's been sponsored by Slim and World UK. It's also been sponsored by the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea. Great, fine bunch of lads. Chode's show up next, so stay in tune for that. I don't know what's next week.
Should we do the games next week? Should we actually stick to what we've said? I'll write it down so I don't forget it.
Yeah, let's do games. Because I want to explore your theory behind games.
Plus, if someone's listening to all of these one after the other, they don't want two like this one after the other because they won't listen to any more.
Oh, it was heavy, to be fair. It's heavy. Yeah. But I feel to anyone that hasn't studied, to anyone that has never been on YouTube, we've influenced them in a way, and we have predetermined their future lives. And on that note, I've it's fucking just gonna fucking stop it, right? So Chod's on, right? Fuck off.